Juwan Howard, the new coach of the Michigan men's basketball program, one of the members of the Fab Five from nearly 30 years ago. My God, it's been that long. But it is a homecoming for Juwan Howard. And look, folks, this time of year, we're looking for any ideas we can to springboard a PFT Live draft. So how about this one? We haven't done this one before. At least if we have, we don't remember it. Best homecomings in the NFL. This is broad. This can be anything that you can manage to make a persuasive case. It is a homecoming, Chris Sims. So I hope you're ready. I got the impression during the break you haven't done a lot of research for this one, and I did. So I should just go ahead and let you have the first pick. Well, because when you have the first pick, you usually blow it. So do you want to take the first pick? Do we want to go through the facade?
I got enough. I just wasn't sure. I was all over the place with what homecoming qualified as. So I got enough here. I'm not worried about you. Be quiet, okay? Let's go to the coin toss, okay? I don't want. All right. And I'm going to pick heads because I think she's going to feel sorry for you, and I'm going to get the first pick anyway.
Why should she feel sorry for me? I kicked your ass all week.
We are crazy. I don't pick murderers, and you do. We have standards on my team, okay?
Alleged murderers. Go ahead.
All right. First one here. It's actually a tough decision about where I want to go here. The first one, though, I'm going to go Brett Favre going back to Green Bay in 2009. I think that's the one that leads the list to me as far as homecoming. I mean, Brett Favre, arguably the greatest quarterback in Green Bay history, kind of held it over their heads for years. I'm going to retire. I'm going to play. I'm going to retire. I'm going to play. Okay, he finally, Green Bay draws a line in the sand and says, no, we're moving on. We got Aaron Rodgers. He goes and plays for the Jets in 2008, but he doesn't have to play against Green Bay. 2009, he signs with the rival Minnesota Vikings, and I just can still remember the week. I just remember I was still playing in the NFL, of course, and just the buzz around that game and that situation. Brett Favre going back to Green Bay, in purple and white. That was just an amazing moment to me. And one, I didn't ever expect to see Brett Favre in a different uniform. Two, I certainly didn't expect him to be in Minnesota. And, of course, that was the year they went on the run, and he won the game that night, I believe, if I remember correctly. But to me, that's one of the more memorable homecomings I can remember just right off the top of my head.
Wait a minute. It's a memorable homecoming, and you don't remember whether or not he won the game?
I'm pretty sure.
Serious?
I don't look up the statistics like that. I just go off the top. I'm such a historian.
They won the game.
See? I knew it.
And he was booed mercilessly every
right.
time he was on the field, and every time he touched the ball, and every time, all game long. But yes, the Vikings swept the Packers that year,
yep.
And the Vikings almost parlayed that into a Super Bowl appearance. But for Brett Favre throwing the ball across his body and Tracy Porter intercepting it late in regulation in New Orleans, the Vikings may very well have
made the
Super Bowl last year.
You sure?
Where they inevitably would have lost to the Indianapolis Colts.
I don't know. That would have been awesome, though.
Speaking of Super Bowls, and this is the ultimate NFL homecoming because it was so ridiculously over the top. All we heard for 2 weeks was that Jerome Bettis is from Detroit. Did you know Jerome Bettis is from Detroit? Hey, by the way, the Steelers playing the Super Bowl in Detroit, and Jerome Bettis is from Detroit. Yes, we know Jerome Bettis is from Detroit. Well, he returned to Detroit for what was the final game of his career, won a Super Bowl, walked off into the sunset with the trophy at that homecoming game. Favre simply won when he went back to Green Bay, and it really wasn't his home. It was his pro football home. For Bettis, it was his hometown, last game of his career, Super Bowl win, no better way to cap it, and over the top, Jerome Bettis is from Detroit for 2 weeks. That's clearly the number one pick in this draft, Chris. Especially because it's Michigan, and we used Michigan as the launching point. That's another reason it's the clear no-brainer first pick.
I mean, it's cool. It's a great story. I don't know if it's as cool as some of the other ones we're going to pick here. It's got the greatest ending because it's the Super Bowl. I get that, but it's not like he was going into...
You're making my case stronger.
Well, it wasn't... To me, it's not a true homecoming. You know what I mean? For this...
What was his home? Yes, he wasn't born at Ford
Juwan
Field.
Howard's home, Michigan? No. So then maybe we should throw this draft out of the list. He's not living in Michigan.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You're just trying to concede.
You're such a lawyer. Be quiet.
What do you got next?
Okay. My next one's Marcus Allen. Okay, because I remember this when I was a young kid. Marcus Allen going back to play the Los Angeles Raiders in 1993. as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, another star Hall of Fame type player going to play for a rival football team. But I think what happened before that is what makes it so magical. I mean, as we all know, it's well documented. Al Davis, Marcus Allen didn't like each other. And you can go down NFL rumorville to why that happened or what happened to the dysfunction of that relationship. But Marcus Allen started out as the prized possession of the Oakland Raiders. Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 18, right? Against the Washington Redskins. I mean, awesome player. USC, Southern California, just gold. He is as cool as it gets. The Raiders, for whatever reason, Al Davis benches Marcus Allen, made him sit behind Bo Jackson, made him fullback, disrespected him on the roster a number of times. He goes to Kansas City in 1993 and becomes Mr. Goal Line touchdown running back, and the Chiefs start winning football games, and Joe Montana's the quarterback. And, of course, that to me, as a little kid, I could still remembering that because not only was it Marcus Allen, but we felt like there was true hate between Al Davis and Marcus Allen with the particular subject there.
Oh, I mean, anytime you deliberately put a guy on the bench for multiple years, you put him on ice, you're paying him to not play, and then he finally gets a chance to get away, and he comes back to haunt you. That is a good story, but there are still better stories. And this next one, this is a special dedication to our coordinating producer, Matt Casey. He is going to hate this, so I love it even more. And even though the memories have faded, in 2011, one of the biggest stories in football was Tebow Mania. And even though he never did anything after the 2011 season, he did take the Denver Broncos to the Final Eight. He did throw a first drive touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas.
Right.
And that all started with his homecoming to the state of Florida. Now, I know that the first game of Tebow Mania was in South Florida, not in Gainesville. But if you recall, Chris, on that day, for whatever reason, at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, it was Florida Gator Alumni Day. So it was a perfect storm of circumstance. And here's Tim Tebow getting his first opportunity, down 15 points in the fourth quarter, leads the Broncos back, and that was the first. And I remember watching that in the NBC viewing room, and we went nuts. It was unbelievable. There were so many games that year where there's no way the Broncos are going to win this game. And here comes Tim Tebow working magic, digging the team out of a hole that he dug for it because he was so bad in the first 3.5 quarters.
Right.
But it all started on that day in South Florida when it was the Florida Gators Alumni Day, and a Florida Gator alumnus stole the heart out of the chest of the Miami Dolphins. So that, to me, that I'll never forget that day.
I mean, I remember it too. Of course, I do. I mean, wow. What a horrible pick. Holy cow. I mean, you just cemented the draft for me. I won it right there.
Go ahead.
All the
you got.
legends and stars.
When all you say is that was a horrible pick and you give no basis for it, I know that I rattled
My
you.
picks are Brett Favre and Marcus Allen. You're Tim Tebow and, I don't know, a fake homecoming with Jerome Bettis.
Right,
Okay, here we go. My last pick to nail down my championship, okay? This is one I'm just not sure where I want to go here. Okay, I'm going to do it this one. I'm going to go with the one I know better. How about Joe Gibbs coming back to coach the Washington Redskins after, what was it, a 12-year hiatus? Okay. I mean, Joe Gibbs, first of all, I don't think gets the credit for being one of the all-time great coaches that he should. I mean, this is a guy that won 3 Super Bowls and brought the Redskins to 4 Super Bowls. One of them they lost to the Oakland Raiders and Marcus Allen, oddly enough. But this is an all-time legend, one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. He leaves the sport and goes and, dallies in his NASCAR business, and he's all into that. And I know he owned a car, and I'm sure they were kicking butt there. But then to come back and make the playoffs his second year, and thank you, Joe. Your first playoff win since you were back was against me. Thanks a lot. But still, I think that's a pretty cool story because I just feel like it's very rare that a legendary coach takes a break, one, and comes back after that amount of time, but 2, to come back to the same team. I thought that's what was special about it. I mean, we saw Dick Vermeil go from the Eagles to the Rams, and, Bill Parcells switched teams, but Joe Gibbs went back to the same team, and I thought that's why it makes it a extra cool homecoming.
This is not my pick. I am stunned you did not pick Odell Beckham Jr. the day he went back to New Orleans, back to Louisiana, and had 3 touchdowns in a 52-49 shootout against the Saints. I'm stunned that wasn't one of your picks. I would have assumed going in that would have been one of your picks.
It's not big time enough. I need more grandiosity, so I need bigger, and that's just one game. I didn't. These ones I thought were bigger.
Well, this one I think it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, and I'm still holding out hope that this player ends up playing for the team that he bedeviled that day. But this was Eric Berry, just 2 years removed from a cancer diagnosis, and he fought back from it. He went back to his hometown of Atlanta, grew up not that far from the site of the Georgia Dome, which was the stadium at the time, and this was 2016. And this is a defensive player who scored 8 points that day. He had a pick 6. And he returned a 2-point conversion for the decisive score, 29-28, as the Chiefs beat the Atlanta Falcons. And I've always felt like Eric Berry was destined to play for the Falcons. He's been available for the past few months. He's still got that lingering issue. He had the torn Achilles tendon week 1 of the 2017 season. Didn't play at all that year, barely played in 2018. I still hold out hope that he ends up with the Falcons and that he can make more magic like he did that day. Again, Eric Berry, not a Hall of Famer. Eric Berry, one of the better defensive backs of this time period.
Right.
But that, to me, I remember that day. It's how memorable is it to me? That was a memorable moment. It was an incredible performance for a guy who had beaten cancer and was back home and stuck it to that hometown team in a way that you rarely see a defensive back affect the outcome of a game.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was special. I get it. And I mean, I'm giving you a lot of credit for going the sentimental route here. You're trying to win the sentimental vote here on this draft, okay?
But
listen,
I know you do whatever you have to do to win. But it was memorable.
That was big
the
time.
three that I picked,
right.
The first one was over the top, and it got to the point where you got sick of hearing about Jerome Bettis being from Detroit. But clearly, when you think homecomings, that's the first one you think of. The others, I think, were just I'll never forget those days.
That's not clearly the first one you think of. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
No,
yeah,
it is not. It's not the first one that I thought of. I know that, and my brain's extraordinary. You know that.
You have a great brain. You use all the best words.
You know it.
All right,
the best assist
there are
at
the
it.
picks. Brett Favre goes back to Green Bay as a Viking. Marcus Allen faces the Raiders as a Chief. Joe Gibbs comes back to coach Washington. I've got Bettis finishing his career in a Detroit Super Bowl. Tebow kicking off Tebow Mania at Miami on Gator Day, and Eric Berry back in Georgia after the cancer battle, and 8 total points scored by
Vote for Sims.
safety that
Sims
day.
won this draft. Vote for
Quick break.
Sims.
When we return, Adam Gase is going to meet with the media today. We'll talk about what he may be asked and how he may answer those questions when we wrap up this Thursday edition of PFT Live right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.